Welcome to our celebration of the new year. We're following the medieval concept of the Feast of Fools, a religious practice of turning the normal church service inside out during the first week of January. Believe it or not, look it up, there is a real Feast of Fools. While we don't go to the extremes of raucous behavior that are typical of the ancient Feast of Fools, we will be changing things around and lightening things up in today's service. So expect the unexpected, have some fun while we explore the theme of character in terms of New Year's resolutions.
And I need your help, of course, singing with me if you would. You say you got a resolution, well, you know, we all want to change ourselves. You say you plan to lose some weight, well, you know, we all love to see the plan. But if you tell me you gotta give up cake, I'm telling your friends you're gonna have to wait. Don't you know it's gonna be alright? Don't you know it's gonna be alright? Don't you know it's gonna be alright, alright, alright? You say you should exercise, well, you know that. We all love to see the plan. You're gonna work at the gym, well, you know, I'll try to make it if I can. But if you want to work out every day, I ain't gonna make it, no way. Don't you know it's gonna be alright? Don't you know it's gonna be alright? Don't you know it's gonna be alright, alright, alright? You say you wanna play guitar, well, you know, where's Mary? She was gonna do that. She told me last week. We all love to hear you play. You gotta build up calluses, well, you know, and practice every day. But if you wanna play like me, remember I've been playing since I was 13. Alright, don't you know it's gonna be alright? Don't you know it's gonna be alright? Alright, 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 alright.
Thank you, Ken. We can count on you always for some really good lyrics for these kinds of things. So, once upon a time, there was a woman named Olive who felt very dissatisfied with herself, thinking that she needed to become a better person. She was feeling weak and undisciplined. She studied different philosophies but couldn't decide which one was the best. They all seemed too hard to follow and difficult to understand. She went to ask for guidance from an old woman in town whom everyone admired for her wisdom. She said to the wise old woman, "I feel like I would be a better person if I lost weight, got more exercise. I also need to have better control over how I spend my money, and I want to learn a new language." The wise old woman said, "Why would those things make you a better person?" Olive said, "Because I will show everyone that I have self-control and discipline." The wise old woman said, What one of those things is the one that will make the most difference in your life? Olive said, I don't know, they're all important to me. The wise woman said, you must go do one thing for 3 months and then come back to see me again. Go home, and whenever you feel like you're going to eat something that you shouldn't, I want you to sit up straight for 3 minutes. Then walk around the room 3 times with your shoulders back and your head high. Then take 3 deep, slow breaths and sit back down again. Olive went away and did these things. And then she came back to see the wise woman in 3 months. How did it go? The wise woman asked. I lost 10 pounds, and my clothes fit me better, and I have more energy, said Olive. But I still haven't started spending money more wisely or learned a new language. The wise woman said, you must do another thing for 3 months, and then come to see me again. Besides sitting up straight and taking a walk around the room when you feel the urge to eat, I want you to do something every time you feel the urge to buy something that you don't need. When you get that feeling, walk around for 4 minutes, reciting Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star to yourself. Olive went away for 3 months and then came back to see the wise woman. How's it been going for you? Asked the wise woman. Olive said, I quit spending so much money on things I don't really need. In fact, I'm starting to save a bit, and that makes me feel really good. But I still haven't started to learn a new language. Well, that'll be a little harder, said the wise woman. You'll need to find a partner for that. Look around for someone who has some time. Perhaps a retired person or someone who's out of work, who speaks another language. Then for 3 months, have a conversation once a week. You want to sing a song in the other language once a week, or recite a poem in the other language once a week, or maybe read a recipe in the other language once a week. Then come back and see me. Olive, who by now wasn't feeling quite so bad about herself, had to think about the way to make her new assignment work. She liked to cook. She looked around and she found that there was a soup kitchen in town which served a lot of people. Many of the people who came there were homeless, many were old, and quite a few of them spoke Hmong because they had come from Vietnam a long time ago. So she decided she would go to the soup kitchen once a week to help make soup. There she met a nice, tiny, old Hmong man who liked to talk as he got his plate. So every time she saw him, she would find him later at the table and sit down and talk with him a little bit. She asked him to tell her a little poem and explain it to her and help her learn it. She asked the man's wife to bring her some recipes and explain what the ingredients were, some of which she'd never heard of before. After she got to know the couple better, she asked them to sing a verse or two of a song from their country and tell her what it meant. After 3 months, she went back to see the wise woman. Before the wise woman even asked, Olive said, I can't believe it. I've learned some poems and a few little songs. I even tried a few of the recipes. I don't think I understand the grammar, but I'm getting a little idea of how it works. And when I make mistakes, they don't mind. They just smile behind their hand and tell me again. And sometimes when they are trying to speak English, I help them with the words, especially the pronunciation. So, do you think you're becoming a better person? Asked the wise woman. Well, Olive said, I hold my head higher and my body straighter. Instead of buying things for myself, I've been getting things for the soup kitchen and asking my friends to give donations. I guess I'm learning a new language, but it's not at all how I thought I'd do it. But it's a lot more fun than going to classes. Good, said the wise woman. Then there's only a few more simple things you have to do to become a better person. What's that? Asked Olive. First is, every morning when you wake up, before you get out of bed, you must raise your hands over your head and smile the biggest smile that you can. Then, every day at noon, you have to spend 5 minutes sitting quietly and imagining a beautiful little fountain that's refreshing a small garden. And then every night when you go to sleep, you have to lie very still and calmly and think about one good thing that happened to you that day as you fall asleep. Olive went away and did those things for the last 3 months of the year. When she came back to visit the wise woman, she seemed much calmer and exuded a sense of joy and contentment. Olive, you really seem to have changed, said the wise woman. Yes, I have, said Olive. I don't even really care about how other people think of me anymore. I don't feel like I have something to prove. I seem to have been able to do everything that I wanted to do this year, and just not quite as quickly or in quite the way that I imagined I would. But life is easier now, because I don't think about myself so much. In fact, I don't think what I do is so important anymore. We wise women are like that, said the wise woman. Hold that thought. What I just did was tell you a little story that follows a familiar pattern. A person wants something, and to achieve it, she has to first perform a set of specific tasks in a particular way. The story has several episodes, and each one addresses a different aspect of the original problem that the main character has. The resolution of the story is that the heroine achieves her goal. This story also illustrated a number of phenomena related to willpower, or the lack of it, and how to strengthen our resolve. In this story, we don't know very much about Olive, except that she's dissatisfied with herself and feels like she can't control her own behaviors as she would like to. She tries to find some philosophy that will help her, but she doesn't have a whole lot of luck on her own. She seeks out someone to help her who isn't already close to her, so this person's pretty objective and non-judgmental. If you take that out of the storytelling context, this person could be a counselor or a psychologist or any person that Olive would feel could provide her with some objective feedback. Next, Olive explains the problem in her own words. She has specific things she wants to do, a lot of them in fact, and she can't find any one thing that matters more than all the rest. Her general lack of focus and desire to change everything at once is quite common when people are dissatisfied with their self-image or feel like they should do better. Can we relate to this feeling of dissatisfaction or inadequacy? Don't we often wish that we could make a change for the better? Let's each think for a minute about something we'd really like to change this year about our behavior. Does thinking about that change make you smile? Or are you immediately feeling anxious? There's plentiful research that shows that in our brains, the very anticipation of change can lead to the release of chemicals associated with stress. We humans evidently have quantifiable limits to how much we will handle of these new little stresses on top of our normal daily stress factors. For example, suppose you've made a resolution to stop at the gym and work out 3 times a week. First week, you do great. Second week starts out fine, but you have an argument with a coworker in the morning on one of those days. By the end of the day, you will have seemed to have forgotten it or gotten over it. But actually, that argument will increase the odds that when you get in your car, you'll drive straight home instead of going to the gym. Why? Because under the increase of stress, your brain has reverted to an older pattern, driving home, and dropped the new pattern of going to the gym. If you think of the idea of exercising your will as if you were exercising a muscle, you won't be too far from how many experts think about getting better at sticking to your goals. Every time that you hold on to your new plan and execute it, it strengthens aspects of your brain that relate to conscious control. The activity works in your prefrontal cortex, and experiments have shown that if you can override your old habits deliberately, you will make a new behavior into your default. With repetition, you'll execute your changed behavior with less and less stress. But to start with, you don't want to do anything that's a huge challenge that will instantly stress you out. So the first task the wise woman sets for Olive is a small one. It doesn't require a lot of equipment or going somewhere special to perform it. She just has to sit up straight, walk with good posture, and take some calming breaths. Olive can do that just about anywhere, at any time, without even drawing a whole lot of attention to herself. Our wise woman is up to date on her research, which has found, oddly enough, that if you practice good posture for 2 weeks, you will usually find it easier to stick to your other goals. So as our story tells us, Olive can manage this little routine, and it starts to make a difference in her behavior and her feelings about herself. She still has other changes she wants to make. So as in keeping with this kind of a story, she has to perform the task for a specific time, and then she can go back and ask the wise woman for some more guidance. This time, the wise woman makes use of some other neurological and psychological research, which relates to the ability to withstand temptation. They did this funny experiment with willpower and how different people are with it by taking 4-year-olds and putting them in a room with a marshmallow on a table and toys and things around, and then they tell the child, you can have that marshmallow if you don't eat it for 20 minutes. And then they leave. And they found that there are some kids who can easily be counted on to go immediately and eat the marshmallow. And there are other kids that for some reason seem to be able to avoid eating that marshmallow for 20 minutes, which if you remember what it's like with 4-year-olds, that's a very long time. Okay, so what's the difference? Well, the ones that didn't succumb immediately to the temptation were the ones who went and looked out the window, or they found something to play with, or they read a book for a few minutes. And so they didn't actually focus on that marshmallow. The ones who were in the room and sat there and stared at the marshmallow that they wanted to eat were almost bound to go and eat it within the first couple of minutes. So that experiment with 4-year-olds actually they found as a predictor pretty much of what kind of character you might have in resisting temptation. I don't know if you want to try it on yourself with the marshmallow in the room, but Olive in our story has a hard time with impulse control in regards to buying things she doesn't need. Knowing this, our wise woman sets her a task to deliberately distract her whenever she wants to buy something. Walking around and singing a silly song to herself gives Olive the time to check her impulse. And so probably she'll be able to walk away without opening her wallet. Notice again that there isn't any special equipment needed, no log of her purchases, no budget plan, just a little routine to follow. After mastering these tactics, Olive still has a goal to reach, which is learning another language, which poses a different challenge because other people need to be involved. So our wise woman gives Olive the task, but she doesn't tell her how to do it, except to suggest where to find someone to try the new language with. Olive takes her own initiative to find the right situation and accomplish the tasks by working at the soup kitchen once a week. As a result of her attempts to learn some poems, songs, and recipes, Olive is introduced to the culture of the person who speaks another language. Because it's not a classroom setting, Olive can pick up things at her own speed, following her interests and interacting with native speakers. She doesn't have to get everything right. She's having some fun, and she's learning to do some new things with her cooking skills. These tactics are proven ways to learn a new language. Notice that of her own volition, Olive found an activity to do that is helpful to others. While this isn't necessary for us to do if what we're looking for is self-improvement, I put this in the story to make a point. We often think first of some class or scheduled activity that's focused on ourselves. But there are lots of things that we can find in our community that help others while helping us. We can get physical activity by building trails in the park. Hello, Marty Dodge. Or working with Habitat for Humanity, or shoveling the back walk at the church. And we can learn a new language while helping others also. Olive in our story is a better heroine because she figures this out for herself. So, Olive has gotten involved in activities beyond herself, which makes her aware of other people's circumstances. She's getting a better feeling about her competency and self-discipline. Now the final tasks that she's given by the wise women are very simple to practice. By requiring Olive to do them for 3 months before she comes back, the wise woman has given enough time for Olive to get accustomed to this and make it a new set of habits. But here our story deviates somewhat from just the practical into more of what we would consider the spiritual. Olive has been given tasks for practicing an attitude of self-awareness and gratitude. There are echoes of long-established religious rituals here, but for Olive, the wise woman has not tried to load these simple tasks with any symbolism. If Olive forms ideas about the significance of reflecting on good things and starting each day anew, those insights will come from Olive herself. Wrapping up our story, we have the satisfaction of finding that the wise woman thinks that Olive herself is becoming wise. Her new sense of awareness is not all about herself. She has accomplished her goals. And like any good story, she's found riches that she didn't even ask for. Storytelling is about drawing lessons from the narrative too. The first moral of Olive's story is that if we truly desire to change for the better and carry on with meeting little challenges day by day, we will be successful. Like any good story, this tale is providing a model for us to emulate so we can see ourselves in the story. The second moral is that if we start to look beyond ourselves for assistance in meeting our challenges, and we engage our attention on behalf of others, we will find community, building outward from our own needs to help meet the needs of others. May it be so resolved that our deeds show our love and compassion for ourselves and for others. May it be so.
I had
Join us for worship every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua, a welcoming congregation. We are located at 3024 Cooley Road, 4 miles west of South Main Street, Canandaigua, just north of the intersection with Routes 5 and 20. Look for the blue signs just before the turn. Your comments about this program or questions about the church are welcome at 585-396-1370 or at our website, www.canandaiguauu.org. Producer and editor, Daniel Brigham.